What I'll be covering is Mimosa Pudica update, having a zapper for 1 full week, a little bit of lemon enemas, and everything that I've passed. I got a little bit of graphic footage at the very end, so stay tuned for that. One week using a zapper. Okay guys, so for a long time I was reluctant to get anything like the Hulda Clark zapper. I know people have left comments on here talking about the ParasiteZapper.com, etc. And all the ones I looked into, some of them were extremely old and extremely expensive, and you needed to have 2 hands on them at a time to make them work, and other ones just didn't seem realistically affordable. Until I stumbled upon a video, thank you once again, YouTube algorithm, until I stumbled upon a video for Don Croft and his Terminator 2 Zapper. So the Terminator 2 Zapper is powered by a 9 volt. It's got 2 contact pads made of copper, and I guess you could pay more for gold if you really wanted to. I don't know why. Anyways, but yeah, it runs off a 9 volt. I got it 1 week ago, and I used it pretty much 24 hours a day since then. I could easily tuck it into a sock, or I put it on my waistband, since primarily I was trying to target intestinal worms, nematodes, parasites. And they talked about it's a millionth of an amp that is released into your system on a regular basis. As that charges out, there's a little LED to indicate that it is indeed working. Let me tell you one cautionary statement. If you put it inside your belt, pull it out when you use the restroom. Yes, I had a little accident, but no big deal. It happened before I went to the bathroom, and then I just put a blow dryer on it, and no damage, nothing was wrong with it. Cleaned it up really nice. And I always have a pristine toilet as well. Anyways, so yeah, first night I actually did just tuck it into my sock, and it was around my ankle, and I think I got a little bit of a cauterized spot because of it. And that's one thing they warn you. They say if you're going to sleep and use this, it should be either in your hand or on the bottom of your feet, because those 2 places will not get the buildup that will cause the cauterization of an area due to the discharge of the electrical impulses. And they also said that it was related to overall alkalizing and acidic. So if you're really acidic, then the acid can build up in one spot and cause that cauterized area, which I don't know if that's entirely true. It seemed the more hydrated I was, the less likely I was to get tingling sensations, which is the beginning signs of, yes, this is about to cauterize your skin in one location. It was really interesting. And going back to, for a while I was not interested in using a zapper for the various reasons that I already mentioned, but there's other reasons, because we're electrical. I don't want to really mess with our electrical systems in a way, unless it's through acupuncture, or acupressure, ways that have been studied for thousands of years. As far as it goes, zappers are relatively new, because I think Hulda Clark basically pioneered them. And as far as just frequency things, yeah, there was Royal Rife, who did some interesting work, and several other people who, Wilhelm Reich, I believe, was another man. And it seems those guys were forcefully silenced one way or another. But anyways, the more research I did, I found out there was some studies or some situations where individuals were struck by lightning or very close by lightning strikes, and they actually completely got healed of various illnesses. Like there's a story, a really old one, which I don't know if it just boils down to folklore, but there was one 1840s written up in some newspaper about an individual who received his sight. They were 3 years old, lost their vision. Doctor said they'll never see again. And then a lightning strike was very close by, and boom, their eyes were open, they were healed. Out of fear, the kid talked about they covered their eyes, and the parent just tucked them under the sheets and was like, just wake up in the morning, you'll be fine, don't worry. So it's really interesting that electricity can have such profound effects and unknown results. And so lightning is another thing. I didn't mention this before, but lightning is another thing that releases the negative and positive ions. So it releases more of the negative ions and also tons of nitrogen. So it may be related to those health benefits, and that's how it's actually able to work for healing qualities, which means, you'd have the equivalent of, I don't know, months and months on end on a beach, or months and months on end standing in front of a waterfall, or XYZ salt lamps, all released in an instant through 1.21 gigawatts, right? 1.21 gigawatts! Anyways, so I used the Zapper for a week, and I also use Mimosa Pudica. I've been using the garlic method. I've been using ginger, and basically what I found for the size parasites I have dealt with and been wanting to get rid of, that for me, 20 capsules of Mimosa Pudica is the dose I need. And that's a bit of a shocker for some people, and maybe some people shouldn't do that, but honestly, the last couple of times I did it, and I did pass several worms, I actually did not have any of the withdrawal effects, or detox effects, I mean. I didn't go through any detox symptoms whatsoever, and I don't know if that was due to the support of the Zapper or whatever, but it was really amazing. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure, and I don't think anybody else really knows how these Zappers actually can really, really work, because so many people say it reverses lupus, it reverses cancer, it reverses... These are all like personal testimonials that's never been evaluated by the FDA, of course. But there's something to be said about raising your electrical charge, right? I mean, they always say increase your vibrations, raise your vibrations and all these things. And to some extent, it makes sense that you could fry some of these things, I mean, and on a low level, that's kind of what you're doing to your body. So I definitely have been focusing on taking Soleil salt method, which I made a video about that. Or you just throw a bunch of salt into a cup of water, and that's about all you really need to do. Anyways, I was just making sure I was taking in enough salt. I greatly reduced the pizza nights with my wife. I really focused on doing 16 to 18 or so intermittent fasting, and then having a shortened window of eating, 2 to 4 hours. So I'd focus on eating, and honestly, sometimes I don't even need that long, but I know I would get hungry later, so I tried to fuel up just intentionally. So after 1 week with the Terminator Zapper, I am all about it. There's other versions. I guess the first Terminator had orgonite in it, which is something Wilhelm Reich actually invented and did the research for. And all the studies and everything I've looked for on orgonite, I'm very open-minded when it comes to a lot of stuff, but orgonite is a combination of resin and metals, and they say it reduces EMF, they say it reduces a whole bunch of other things, but I just can't be so sure myself. I just don't know. There's no data to show that it actually blocks EMF whenever individuals have used EMF sensing technologies in their videos, which there's little meters you can buy on Amazon for those purposes, and you can put up things like RF blocking screens, Mylar, all those things to show that you are indeed blocking the RF, but orgonite doesn't seem to show any of those things on those. So for me, I wouldn't waste the money on orgonite until I see anything that could really prove it does anything. And as far as psychosomatics go, yeah, I mean, 12% of the population will receive a placebo and get better of XYZ, right? But yeah, I want to make sure that it's more than just my belief, my faith, raising up my own health and Anyways, check out these pictures of what I passed recently, and it's got to be just a combination of all the things I've done, really. Yeah, I can't say it's really one thing. I know that the Mimosa Pudica is a huge thing, but the Zapper seemed to help a lot too. And it helps that I've been doing this for over a year now. January 8th was actually 1 year since I started my detox, my cleanse. And now going into the second year, it's a bit laborsome, a little tiring, but the bottom line is it had to get worse before it got better, and I'm feeling a lot better than I did when I began. Feeling a lot healthier. Skin shows, digestive health shows, gut shows, all kinds of stuff. And it's funny, I was showing my wife and pointing to my abs, and she's like, those aren't abs. And then I was like, well, look at these abs. And then I'd point to like my shoulder and the definition and tone that I have here, there, everywhere, and just calling it all abs, and we had a good laugh. Anyway, so yeah, check out these pictures, guys. Warning, graphic content to come. You might as well tune out if you didn't want to see this. So the final part of this was a cleanse where I just got rid of these things. Through the final part was keeping the Zapper on me, and also doing a lemon juice enema, and 6 ounces of lemon. I also put in like 4 scoops of MSM, and I think 1 scoop is about 2,600 milligrams, and threw a bunch of salt in there and a couple of drops of eucalyptus. So that's how this thing came out. And I've seen other people be like, isn't that just the Mimosa Pudica? But the thing is, I was open-minded to considering if that was possible. But from my experience, there's so many things that will tell you this thing's a parasite and not just Mimosa Pudica. First of all, parasites, when you pass them, they smell horrendous. They smell extremely bad. The other thing is, this has got worms on worms kind of deal. If you look at it, there's small parts of the worm, there's larger parts of the worm, there's worms next to the worm, and it's like a party, right? It's a bunch of them. It's not just one. So it's just an unbelievable mass. And so when I first saw this, I was like, well, like I said, I'm being open-minded about it. But I was like, well, this could be the one that was bothering my right side, because I had a side injury and it prevented me from helping a friend from moving recently. And I was sad I wasn't be able to help, because I knew that if I was picking up anything over like 10 pounds, then I could split my side a lot worse. And then this thing could feed, because that's what they do. They look for the weak spot. They feed on that weak spot until they get stronger. And that's why if you have intestinal tract lining or anywhere down there in your digestive system that is taking a long time to heal, then that's a red flag that you probably got parasites. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's a lot more common than anybody thinks, that's for sure. But yeah, that's just another picture. You can really tell this is crazy huge. There's multiple different worms in there. There's multiple different sizes. And it's quite a shocker. I mean, I've done this for over a year now, and it was still a shocker to me when I passed this thing, and I was just like examining it, and I thought, is it time for me to get the gloves out for this one? And I was like, no, I just don't. I'm not going to. So, like I said, it was pretty astonishing that I did not have any of the detox symptoms. But I can feel the healing going on in my side now a lot faster, because I don't have to poke anything off of it to, allow for the healing to take place, kind of deal. I still know that I'm fighting another parasite that's probably still kind of big. It's most likely the granddaddy of them all, and it's thicker. I passed part of it, and it was in my original Mimosa Pudica video. But anyways, stay healthy, guys. Get these things out of you. Check out my playlist on parasites. See all the things I've done in the last year to get rid of them.